Hi there, and welcome to Game 3 of the World Championship match being played in Sochi, Russia, between Carlson and Anand. In today's game, the third game, we're going to be looking at Anand with the white pieces. And without further ado, let's get to it. It looks almost to be one of these new type of Iranian style Queen's Gambit setups that gets arrived at via a slightly more roundabout route that we've been seeing in quite a few super tournaments going on in recent years. And for that matter, in the super tournament going on in Tashkent, Moscow, right at the moment, this position has been seen several times already. And in this position, in Tashkent, for example, the move knight h5 gets played quite often, but instead of that, Carlson goes for c6. And now we're at move 10, and we can see that white's expansion on the queen side looks fairly scary. But if black can hold it down, open up the a file successfully, and trade off his light square bishop, then which in many times in these type of games is simply a dead piece that doesn't really have any activity to it whatsoever through the entire game, then you should be able to hold the position comfortably. But of course, to establish that type of thing and trade off the light square bishops takes a whole lot of time. The game continued with bishop takes, and rook takes. So there Magnus has managed to get his light square bishop traded off courtesy of Anand. But now Anand pushes the b pawn, and this idea of pushing the b pawn and creating a pass pawn so early in the game, meaning we're only on move 12, has been known for quite a long time, and it's a well-known part of opening theory. And so what happens now is the game continues with obviously c takes, and then you push c6. The queen goes to c8, and the pawn goes to c7. Black answers with b4, knight to b5, strengthening the position of that c7 pawn, which is established on move 14 and is going to be a telling key feature of the entire game as it moves forward. Black continued with a4, we got rook c1, knight e4, knight g5. Now black continues with knight d to f6, because the other option over here would be the double capture on f5, for instance, by playing knight takes, bishop takes, wrong direction of that arrow, sorry, bishop takes over there, which will leave white with a far superior position. So instead of doing that, black plays knight on d to f6, which then makes the exchange on the brilliant knight outpost at e4 the most likely continuance. And that's exactly how things continued with knight takes, and black re-establishes his knight outpost, f3, rook a5, so that if white had to, for instance, be considering taking the knight, then black can simply answer by taking the other knight. And that's exactly how things go. So which meant that the knights come off the board, and then black continues with queen takes a4, got rook a5, queen c6, b takes a3, e takes d5, rook takes d5, queen takes b6, which now that the dust is settled, we're left with an incredibly fascinating position here. The material is equal, but you have to admit that white's position is clearly preferred. He's got this super strong c7 pawn, which is being backed up by not only the bishop, but the rook, and the queen as well. So, and with this diagonal that the bishop's taking up, there's no ways that, for instance, that black could potentially, that black could potentially come in with an idea like bishop to d6 to hit at the pawn, simply because of the strong position and the strong diagonal being controlled by the dark square bishop on the white side. And for this reason, the a3 pawn, although potentially dangerous as a passed pawn, but with the immense pressure that's being exerted by that c7 pawn, the a pawn is to a large extent forgotten, because black has to take up all his energy right at the moment to continue the blockading of that c7 pawn, which not only takes up immense number of moves, but also gobbles up an immense amount of time defending the position onto Carlson's clock. Black continued with queen d7, white castles, rook c8, rook c6, g5. Black is fast running out of resources here. He has to devote too much and too many pieces stopping the c pawn, which means that his a pawn is effectively not playing in the game, as what I mentioned just a moment ago. Here white continues with bishop g3, bishop b4, and here the excellent move of rook a1. There's no ways that black will be able, that white will be able to rip through black's blockade of the c pawn straight away. So instead, he just applies pressure onto the effectively hanging a3 pawn, and in order to be able to cover that, black plays bishop a5, and now the queen goes to a6, which now puts immense pressure on black's dark square bishop, and while at the same time keeping an eye on the a pawn and obviously the a5 bishop as well. And in the midst of all of this huge and really uncomfortable pressure is where Carlson finally cracks and plays what looks to be a fairly serious blunder, which would normally land up costing a piece, but it's a case of, at the same time, we're sitting at move 29, there are 11 moves left until the time control, and watching the game at this point in time, Anand was sitting with 31 minutes left on his clock, and Carlson was sitting on 4. So it was an immensely difficult and complex tactical position to be able to analyze in literally blitz type of conditions. So Carlson took the pawn in c7. He probably didn't notice the brilliant move that was at Anand's disposal, and granted, Anand did think for about 10 minutes before playing it, and that's the queen back to c4, which now means that that Carlson's bishop is effectively lost where it is at the moment, and so in a desperate attempt to be able to try and close up the white's bishop, black plays e5, bishop takes, rook takes, d takes e5. So instead of losing the bishop or losing the piece straight out, Carlson sacrificed the exchange to try and get some sort of counterplay going. And as Peter Svidler pointed out in this situation as well, that black has excellent chances to draw this game if he can break the pin on the rook, on the pin that the rook queen are exerting on the bishop rook combination on c7 and c8. So if black can break out of that pin and then be able to apply some sort of pressure onto white's two weak pawns, then there would be some degree of a possibility of being able to exert some sort of draw. But with literally seconds left on his clock and no time to be able to do proper calculations, Carlson then played the move of queen e7, which then simply allows the brutal and super easy winning move of e6. There's really nothing that black can really do at the moment. By playing e6 has now effectively opened up the a1 to h8 diagonal. So now black has an additional problem to deal with, and that's the vulnerability of his king position. So in order to be able to do something about his king, he moved his king to f8, which then just allowed black to be able to play the ultra strong and surgical rook c1. And that was it. In this position, Anand resigned. There's absolutely nothing that Carlson can do to prevent the absolute massacre happening out on c8. And in this position he resigned. For instance, possibly the only thing left to him would be, say for instance, by playing something like bishop takes, king takes, rook takes, queen takes. But in this situation, now what's happening is that white is a clear rook up, and it's all going to be going downhill immensely quickly. So that is how the game was won. Post your comments and questions down below, and remember to click the thumbs up, like button as well. Share this out amongst your chess friends, and also very importantly, click the big red subscribe button below this video as well. That way you can stay up to date on new videos as I post them on a day-to-day basis, as well as each and every single one of these games in the World Chess Championship match that I'll be posting as soon as possible after the conclusion of each game. Stay carved up for the win. I'll be seeing you next time. Cheers.